So much of your story just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, it's so unlikely, right? 13-year-old boy whose dad is, doing maintenance in a building. You go from that to an inmate. I mean, in and out of prison for periods of time, to being a star. And I know you want to resist the idea of being a star, but you are, man. How does that happen? First of all, how do you get to that first phase, right? How do you end up in trouble in the country?
Well, I had an uncle, my Uncle Gilbert, who I guess was my mentor. He was my dad's youngest brother, and I didn't have any brothers, that I lived with. I was just me and my dad. So I kind of like hung out with and he was an armed robber and dope fiend, and that was, I just remember, to this day, he always had a big wad of money, and he kept it in a rubber band. I didn't know it was, a Chicago roll, 100 on the outside.
And ones in the middle.
50 ones in the middle.
I've had a few of those in my day,
and so I go, whoa, this money, and then I remember him and a guy named his crime partner, a guy named Charlie Diaz. They did a robbery, and they each gave me $20. I was 9 years old. They gave me $20 in ones. So you got to remember, this is like 1954. So $40 in ones. That time was a lot of money for a 9-year-old, and that was it. I want to be like these guys. When I came out, I had dedicated my life to helping other people. Period. That was all. I knew that was the only way I was going to stay out, and I made a deal with God, man. You know what? I will say your name every day. And I'll do whatever I can for my fellow man. So for 17 years, I was a drug counselor. I was just helping everyone. One night, one of the kids that I was working with called me up and said, "Hey." In 1985, boy, there's a lot of blow down here, man. Come on out and help me out. I don't want to use you. He was staying clean. He had 108 days clean. So I went down to hang out with him, to support him, right? And I walked on the movie set of a movie called Runaway Train with John Voight and Eric Roberts. And I thought it was the cutest thing I'd ever seen in my life, because all these guys were like dressed up like convicts, like coming up. They would be funny. They'd come up and say, "Hey, does this look tough?" I'd go, "Yeah, you'd be somebody's wife in prison, man. Keep it up."
Wow.
And then I ran into a friend of mine, a guy named Eddie Bunker. He's a writer, right? And I said, "Eddie, what are you doing here?" He says, I wrote the screenplay." And I said, he adapted the screenplay. I said, "Well," and then he asked me if I was still boxing, and I said, "I train." He goes, "You know what? We need somebody to train one of the actors how to box." I said, "What's it pay?" And he said, $320 a day. And I said, "I'll bet you want this guy beat up." 320, I was making that a week.
Right.
So he says, I started training an actor named Eric Roberts how to box for the movie Runaway Train. And we started working out. And the director saw me, and he saw that I could deal with, handle or work with Eric, and he came over. He says, "You be in movie." And I said, "Okay." And he says, "You work with Eric, you fight." Okay. And then I remember he kissed me. He gave me a kiss on this cheek. And he was Andrei Kozlowski, a Russian, right? Giving me a kiss on each cheek. And then he walked away. And I remember telling Eddie Bunker, I said, "Eddie, look, I'm going to do this training for $320, but if I'm going to be kissing this old man, I want more money."
Right. You got to pay extra for that.
No, he's European. I've never kissed a man in my life. He's European, okay, so.
And that's how you
me and Andre still kiss, man.
That's awesome. We want to bring some members of the HuffPost Live community in. They're big fans. Let's start with John and Max. John, you had a question for Danny.
I sure do, Danny. First of all, thank you so much for breaking stereotypes, man. I really appreciate your work. And I just wanted to know, are you facing any cultural adversity currently?
Cultural adversity currently? Not too many people bother me about anything. Cultural adversity.
What specifically did you mean by that?
Well, he's been busting stereotypes. He's basically showing us that cholos don't have to be people that we're afraid of. These people can have hearts. They could be huggable. And he just rocked the Muppet movie with that cameo.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's upset about it. He's still upset about it. But I'm wondering, Danny, I know for a lot of people, those roles didn't even exist before you. And now that you're finally getting these starring roles like that, Is there any limits for you? Are you getting people that say no to you at any point?
You know what? I honestly believe that if you can actually put it in your mind that you would rather shoot for the moon and miss than aim for the gutter and make it, you can do anything.
You know, listen, if you're going to get drunk, Josh, a casino, Whole Foods wouldn't be the place, you know, a casino. But yeah, way too much to drink and very embarrassing for me.